Once your brain has set its mind to something, and depending on emotions and all these other things, it's going to find that thing. So in a positive way, you can say, well, like she was saying, if you're looking for betrayal, you will find it, right? And then I go beyond, I know you believe in manifestation. We believe in manifestation, and vibrations and energy and all that. If you are looking for betrayal and it's not there, then your reticular activating system will help you create it.
The following podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, medical, or any type of professional advice. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, laws and regulations surrounding sexuality, relationships, and consent can vary by location and are subject to change. If you have specific legal or medical concerns, we strongly recommend consulting with a licensed professional in your jurisdiction. Listener discretion is advised, as this podcast may discuss adult themes and sensitive topics. By continuing to listen, you confirm that you are 18 years or older. Welcome to the Siren of Freedom podcast, sounding the alarm by bringing clarity and freedom to the realm of sexuality. Our aim is to give others a place to share their stories and release themselves from the weight of shame and guilt. Hello, everyone. It's another random Tuesday on the Siren of Freedom podcast. That's a little inside joke with me and my husband. We say great things happen on random Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Tiffany, welcome.
Yeah, you gotta say it with swagger.
Okay, and give us your credentials, because you have a lot of cool education, and I want the folks to know what they're diving into tonight.
I have a strong background in psychology, and I got my degree in life coaching, spiritual life coaching. And that happened later in life. I just decided that that was the path for me. Someone had used the term life coach. This is way back in like 2000. And I Googled it, dialed up, and I said, oh my gosh, nothing has ever fit more solidly than this description. And so I went back to school and got my degree in life coaching, and then pretty much started right from there. I started telling people, because since I was a child, people would say, who are you? Who are you? And like, what do you do? And nothing ever really described it until I became a life coach. And the way that I would describe it best is I taught gymnastics when I was young, and I was all about form and function. So I'd watch how people would do things, a handstand, a cartwheel, it didn't matter what it was. And I would look at the form and the function, and I could see why they weren't able to be as precise as they wanted to, or land the flip-flop or whatever it was. And I noticed that was very easy to transfer into life in general with people. Like, why don't you have the relationship that you want to have? Why don't you have the sex life that you want to have? Why don't you have the experiences that you want to have? Why is not happening for you? And I just started to look at the form and the function of the person and the emotional link to everything. And a lot of people aren't very aware of the emotional link, but there's an emotional link to why we're able to perform in a certain way and why we're not.
So earlier when we had kind of our pre-call, you talked about kind of being this way since you were 8 or 9 years old. So take us back to your family dynamic growing up and kind of what, sparked that you remember that.
I think I have always been fascinated by triggers. So my dad was very gifted at arguing. So in order to be able to get
gifted at, I like that.
Well, in order to get anything accomplished as a kid, be able to stay out late, have your curfew a little bit farther, you had to argue your case. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people get stressed out when they're faced with an argument, and I never did. For me, it was very comfortable because it was the medium of which I was raised in. And so I remember being in grade school, and there was a teacher that came in, and he was always our favorite teacher. And he was in the worst mood ever that particular day. And I can still remember being very young. I won't mention the grade because it would give away the teacher, but I was young. And he came in and he was yelling at all of us. And I was just processing it. Like my head was turning sideways. And I was like, what is happening here? And I said, hey, I don't know what happened last night, Mr. So-and-so, but we didn't do it. And he's like, in the back room. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to be expelled from school in like 3rd grade. I'm in the back room and he comes back and he goes, what did you say? And he was a little softer. And I said, I don't know what happened last night, but we didn't do it. And you came in acting all crazy and we didn't do it. And he said, my wife asked for a divorce last night. And he said, would you mind talking to me about it? And so I started coming early for school as a small child, and he would unload all of this stuff and I would start processing it and I would ask him questions. And so I've always really enjoyed both sides of the equation, the adverse side and your side. So for me, it's fun to be in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's a lot for an 8-year-old.
It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I'm not sure that was actually appropriate, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. As a mom, I'm like, I would be deeply disturbed if a teacher was unloading on my 8-year-old about, but
And that's
but
the
you
other
were an
thing.
old soul,
I
right?
think confidentiality has always been really important to me. So I always knew what I could mention and what I couldn't mention, like what I could take home. And you just know intrinsically that this is something you're going to keep in your own private safe.
Interesting. So how did it develop into further along to like the life coaching? What other sorts of jobs have you had?
Well, this was a fun job that I had back in my college days. I worked at a photo lab. So I would develop photos, and I found that I loved being a voyeur into people's lives. And one of the things that I found so interesting is that there were things in this film that would get developed that were so abstract and not in alignment with the lifestyle of the person that brought the film in, because I think they thought that nobody saw them, that we were just throwing them into a machine. But I worked at a more high-end photo lab where you had to color correct every photo. So I was looking at every photo, and some of them were quite risque, and it wasn't of the wife. So that was fascinating. And I just found that the human element, I had more questions than I did answers. And so that job was one of my more fun jobs, enjoyable jobs, of just looking at the human element that normally, you drive down the road and it's so fun when it's like evening, you can actually see everything happening inside the homes. And normally you don't get to see that. That's what it was like working for the photo lab. You got to see things that normally you'd never see.
Makes me think about what I sent to the photo lab, if I've sent anything. Thank God for digital photos.
It's like when you lift up the hood of a truck to work on it. You can't really work on it without lifting up the hood. And most people have an interesting reaction when you want to lift up the hood of their lives to take a look at what's really there. I always tell clients of mine that they probably won't get honest with me until about 3 months. And they go, what are you talking about? But it takes about 3 months.
Yeah,
for
people have
someone.
to feel safe. What do you do to help people feel like comfortable and safe so that they'll open up to you and let you look under the hood?
I don't know if it's anything I do. I think it's that I see life in the human elephant, or the elephant in the room, because often we do have an elephant in our life. I just see it as normal. We're all normal. We have to normalize our lives because there's enough of societal norms telling us we're not normal. Social media, friends, family, that I want to be someone that can help compensate on the other side, that says, hey, this is just life.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Well, and that's why it's always important to share your story, whatever it is in your life. Like there's parts of my story that I used to be embarrassed about. And I totally, told a story about my car getting repossessed in front of an entire room full of business owners last week. And I used to be embarrassed about that part of my story. But now it's just like, oh, she's gone through struggles too. And now, she's in a different place. So I always encourage people to tell their stories because I'm like, you don't know who you're going to help. And that's why you go through struggle, is so that you can help someone. So what's been your experience since this podcast is mainly about sexuality? I want to get into that part of your work, but how have you helped people in that realm?
So I think one thing that's really influenced me is betrayal. I had a boyfriend when I was quite young in high school and experienced betrayal. And then I was I got married and I experienced betrayal. And I think what I took from that was that for myself, the betrayal was from the female, not so much from the male, because I always knew the female and was very close with the female.
Can you dive into the story a little bit more so our listeners understand?
So it was usually a friend of mine. It was always a friend of mine that wound up with the person that I loved and cared about. And it was them that didn't mention it to me.
Are they still alive? You don't have to answer that.
Yes. No, everybody's alive and happy. But what I learned through that process is that when I can help people through that feeling or experience of betrayal, I heal a little bit every time. And so it became a passion of mine to help people get to the other side of betrayal, because if you have a belief in betrayal, you will continually attract it like I did for so many years. Mm-hmm. And then I hit a point where I'm like, I'm done believing in betrayal. I'm done believing that every girlfriend I have will eventually go after the man I'm with. I'm done with that belief system, because as long as you have that belief system, it'll show up for men or for women. It doesn't matter. You're just going to keep having this Groundhog Day experience, and then you're going to start bracing yourself for it, which is ultimately preparing for the flood of betrayal and the wreck that causes in your life, the PTSD, all of it. And so you really have to build a brand new paradigm to which relationships are built on, which isn't betrayal. Mm-hmm. It's something completely different. It's trust, honesty, loyalty, faithfulness. It's all of those things. And so I enjoy helping people let go of the emotional charge that they have in favor of something new. And that means practicing being the thing that they want to be.
Right. So tell us more. Like how, when someone comes into your office, where do you start?
I usually start, so this is the difference that I see between coaching and therapy. Therapy likes to dive a little bit into the past and into the things that have happened in the past. But where I start is tell me where you'd like to be.
I like that. So more of the manifestation viewed.
Yeah, and I want to touch it. I want to feel it. I want to taste it. I want the whole experience. And oftentimes they don't even know what that's like. Mm-hmm. So they struggle a little bit. So that takes time. It's not something that happens in 1 or 2 sessions. Mm-hmm. And they start collecting their own like heart data on what they would like life to be like if there was nothing in their way.
Yeah.
What could that experience be like for you? And then I start getting clear on, well, I'll give you a quick example. I was working with this gentleman and he was compiling his list of what he wanted his ideal woman to be like. And I was kind of blown away at this list. It was like very high-end list. And one day, let's call him Joe. I said, Joe, I have a question for you. This woman that we're manifesting, we've made this amazing list of this woman. Is she talking to her life coach right now describing you?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And he got very quiet. And he was like, probably not.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, that could potentially be a problem if the thing that you'd like to manifest isn't currently fantasizing about you.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. I always was like, you have to become the person that will be attracted to what you're manifesting.
You have to become attractive to that thing so that it's seeking you, because then all you have to do is show up. You don't have to do any work and there's no insecurity because they're looking for you. You're like that beautiful stone that they just came across one day.
What's looking for you is looking... Wait, what is it? How do we say it?
What you're looking for is looking for you.
There you go. I know it's in there somewhere. What questions do you have, Socrates?
1,000.
I didn't say how many.
I know.
We know it's 1,000 every time.
I absolutely love everything you're saying. Let's dig a little deeper, if you don't mind. It sounds like you were describing the reticular activating system. Would you agree?
Yes.
And
can you try to not use too many big words for my sake, please?
You're here for that part. I was going to just explain what the reticular activating system is. But then what came to my head was, we have an expert. We'll have her explain it in a way that makes sense. Because I'm the nerd in the
commoners.
room. I'm the nerd in the room.
No, I want to hear it from you. I want to hear the layman's version
the
of
reticular, I'm
he
trying not to be a layman.
He's a nerd.
So the reticular activating system is a natural filter that our brain goes through, because our brain is pattern recognizing machines. So basically, if, for example, if you bought a new car, I just bought a black F-150. I see black F-150s everywhere now, right? So once your brain has set its mind to something, and depending on emotions and all these other things, it's going to find that thing. So in a positive way, you can say, well, like she was saying, if you're looking for betrayal, you will find it, right? And then I go beyond, I know you believe in manifestation. We believe in manifestation, and vibrations and energy and all that. If you are looking for betrayal and it's not there, then your reticular activating system will help you create it. So you might not be in a situation where you're about to be betrayed, but you can, well, they call it self-fulfilling prophecy. You can speak it into existence and act it into existence by doing that. So my question to you is, what is a good exercise for someone who wants to find that, okay, I'm one of those guys that always has life coaches, and I'm going to sit down and explain to them these goals. And I want a life coach to ask me that question, right? I did that a long time ago. That's why we're together, because I dreamed of the same kind of woman that she dreamed, the same kind of man that I am. So what can a person do from ground zero to say, yeah, I want to be that person? Like you said, I want to be that person, and then just show up. What kind of exercises can they do?
Let me think on this for a second. I think the very first thing you have to do is you have to discern how you want to feel in the relationship. So I know that when I'm looking for a relationship, I want to feel that there's a lot of humor infused in that cocktail of relationship. And so that's one thing that I want to bring to the table. So sometimes people come to me and they say, oh, my partner, my whatever, they're so depressing every day. They're this. And I'm like, no, like you're being depressing. Like you're the one that's bringing that to the table, because happy people don't surround themselves with depressed people. So if you're pointing out and you're saying something about your partner, that means you have to shift. So you have to be the version of you that would attract that type of person. So if I want funny, I have to be funny. I have to show up as funny if I want funny. If I want successful, I have to show up as successful in whatever way I show up as successful. It could be being fit. I could be successful in that department. It could be being wealthy. It could be healthy. It could be anything. But I have to show up there first, because that's what's going to be attractive to someone that already has it. So if I want someone that's confident and self-assured and has proper boundaries, I have to be confident, self-assured, and have proper boundaries. So I have to look at where I have fallen short. So I have clients look at where their weak spots are. There's like a checklist of where they potentially are weak, and they know they're weak in that area. Like, hey, I'm not very good around people. I'm an introvert, and I want to be with someone that's an extrovert. That's going to be a nightmare if one person is completely opposite of the other person. So there's a blending that you want to get to. That's a middle ground between the two. And so the number one thing, like you said, with the vehicle, I like to use the yellow Mustang. The second you decide that you want a yellow Mustang, you see it everywhere. You see it on the airplane in a magazine, in an in-flight magazine. There's the yellow Mustang. You see it when you're driving out in the country. What is that yellow Mustang doing out in the country? Is because you've already set that your brain to seek that out. And so most people by default are seeking everything they don't want.
Yep. Like what I was talking about off the mic, making the I call it the manifestation list, man being all caps, because most women and men too talk about what they don't want in a partner instead of talking about what they do want in a partner. And that's why I chose to take those qualities from different people and put them on the list of what I did want, because that's what I wanted to bring into my life, not what I didn't want.
And that's a good point that you bring up, because sometimes I work with people that are in relationships or marriages, and they will come to me and tell me all the things that they don't like that their partner's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of telling their partner, how come you never text me anymore? How come you never bring me flowers anymore? How come you never rub my feet anymore when we're watching TV? How come we never do this anymore? I tell them that it's so important that when they do send that text, to say, oh my gosh, I love it when you send me that text. It gets me hot when you send me that text. I love thinking about you. Or I love it when you send me songs. Like you hear a song, it makes you think of me. I love it when you do that. Just kind of plant those seeds that then can be watered, because I think human nature is to want to do more when someone says, "Oh, I love it when you do that. Thanks for doing that." We want to do more of it. And most people miss that formula. And it's really a mathematical equation. This plus this equals success. And so A, we want to be able to look for things that we like that our partner is doing. And then B, we want to be able to be that partner that can show up honest and let them know what our needs and wants and desires are, by give them positive reinforcement when they do it.
And what would you say to help people who are doing that positive reinforcement and then they're still just they've asked for what they want and need, they do that positive reinforcement and they're still hitting a wall?
Well, I think there's a fear of letting go of that which doesn't work for you anymore. I mean, the most common thing that you have is you go to a therapist and one person says, "Hey, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not interested. I want a divorce. I'm not interested in this relationship anymore." And the other person says, "Yes, but we have all these years together and we have these beautiful children together and we've had these great, wonderful vacations together and someday we're going to have grandbabies." And I will usually look right at that person and I will say, "I understand you think it's working for you, but I want you to know if it's not working for your partner sitting across the way, it is not working for you in any way, shape, or form. And if you want to have a closed fist on your relationship and you just want to hold on so tight to keep it, you're going to strangle it out anyway. The only chance you have is to let it go." So if the other person isn't interested in the dance with you, when you say, "Hey, I love it when you do this," or "I love it when you send me a text when you get to wherever your destination is, your hotel room, and I know you're safe. I love it when you do that." If they don't do those things, they're not all in. Come on, we all know when you're all in, you want to please your partner. It feels good to please your partner. So the letting go, I mean, you have to let go of a job that doesn't work for you. You have to let go of a pair of jeans that are too tight and they cut into your sides. You have to let go of a pair of shoes that are giving you blisters, even though you spent a whole bunch of money on them. You have to let it go at some point.
Yeah. We shouldn't keep like 10 sizes in our closet. I always tell people, I was like, just get rid of it. Because when you lose weight or gain weight, you're going to want to go shopping anyways. Well, I don't want to buy new clothes. No, you do. You want to buy new clothes.
I just think the process of letting go, like after I read that Marie Kondo book, The Sacred Art of Tidying Up, just the process of letting go is so cathartic and feels so good to just putter around and lift something up and say, "Does this spark joy?" And you can do it with friends. You can do it with anything you want. Does this pair of panties spark joy for me? Nope.
No pair of panties sparks joy for me. I would be commando all the time.
Right. Right. So if that's the process, that's the process.
Right.
Yeah.
So how have you practically applied this? Like, and you're single, right? So how have you practically applied this to like your relationships throughout your life? You've been married one time? Okay. Do you have any kids?
I do. I have 3 boys.
Nice.
Yeah, and 2 stepdaughters. I think I've done all the wrong things. And that's where I've gained my light, is I held on to the marriage far too long. I worked extra hard. I misunderstood what probably should have been a client that I just loved and cared for and wanted to see him and his daughters have like the best experience ever. And so I learned through everything that I did wrong. And I think I've been a little bit shy in jumping in that pool again because of that. So I spent a lot of time living vicariously through helping my clients and seeing their level of success. And then there were other things, like I felt that it was so important to dump all my energy into my kids as a single mom. And I watched people that did it differently because they wanted to have a partner, because maybe they didn't have a good partner on the other side. But my ex-husband's a great dad. So the kids still had a great dad. So I didn't feel the need to fill that role. And being a business owner myself, I just wanted to dump everything into my kids and into my business. And there wasn't a whole lot of broadband. And I just became an empty nester. Well, I'm not officially an empty nester yet. I still have one that's in college. But I still feel like I'm right at that. I've got a year left.
Is that your stomach, Socrates?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it dinner time?
I was a single mom for almost 10 years when I met Socrates. And I dated and stuff, but I knew that I would never jump in unless it was somebody I felt 100% about. And, throughout the years, it's like you could have been remarried and stuff several times over, but I was like, until I know that it's like 100 and like hitting all those things, then, not going to do it. So, but like you, I had many friends I had one friend who was like 7 marriages, and she was just like addicted to getting married.
Evelyn Hugo, that book. What is it? The 7
Yeah, the 7
Husbands.
husbands of
Yeah.
Evan Hugo.
Yeah.
But Liz Taylor, how many times was she married? More than that.
I don't know.
I actually watched a documentary about her, and it was quite interesting.
I bet.
And really just like actually painted her in a whole different picture of like all of that. But I don't think she had that many. Everyone talks about it like it's a lot, but I don't think it was that many.
I think it's cool if you can feel that feeling. I know every time that I've been in a relationship, there's been this spiritual 2x4 that just hits me over the head like whack. And I know that I'm supposed to move forward with it. I don't know how long it will last. I just know that this is like a thing that I'm supposed to have in my life. And if I don't have that, I just don't move forward. It's very simple for me. I don't move forward. And I don't know if everyone has that mechanism. Some people are checking other boxes. But for me, the box that's most important to check is that it factor. The it factor. It's none of the others.
How would you say that people can discover that it factor that they have? Because I don't think there's anything wrong with like the multiple marriages or anything. I say good job not, hanging on to, right? Letting go of what doesn't serve you, But, and you learn every time from every relationship. But how do you think that people discover the it factor?
I think that's a tough question because a lot of clients will tell me, Tiff, I don't even know if I know what love feels like. They've been married for 25 years. I don't know if I know what love really feels like, the kind of love that you're talking about, the kind of love that just you're thinking about that person all the time. You die for that person almost. You are at the grocery store looking at the beer and all of a sudden that person calls, says, hey, would you mind picking up this beer? It's like this intuitive thing that you have going on because you're so on the same wavelength. I don't know that a lot of people even go there. And I don't think that's wrong. I just think not everyone has that level of depth that they go to in their relationships. And
I thought that was just like normal. Like you'll say something and I was just thinking it all the time. So I just thought that was like what everybody
it's special
in
to have that.
relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that most people have that. And sometimes that's one of the things that drives me a little bit nuts is when I see relationships that are very surface. I can feel that they're surface and I'm thinking that's so vanilla. You could have something so much deeper. You could have something that's so much more just exciting and juicy on all fronts. But if you're not that person that goes deep, you're not going to attract that type of relationship. And that's okay. There's all sorts of different relationships that work for everyone, different flavors, different levels.
Well, and sometimes you need to be taught how to dive down and swim down there. Like Socrates had to teach me. Like I was very happy in the shallow end of the pool, floating on the floaty with the margarita. And he's like, down here in the 15-foot section. And I was like, that's nice, honey. I don't want to go over there. So
how did he entice you to go into the depths?
Well, because I knew that like he was incredibly smart and I just wanted to know more about who he was and how he thought. And then every day, every time I was frustrated, I knew it wasn't a frustration with him, it was a frustration with myself of like not being able to get down there. And so I just kept being like, okay, just like kicking and screaming. I think you probably just a few times had to just throw me in, like the parents throw their kid in and just be like, you're going to be fine. You're going to swim.
Well, it sounds like you were open to that.
Yeah, because he was unlike anybody that I had dated previously because everybody else wasn't challenging me enough mentally. And then he was the only one. It was like a strain on my mental capacities. Still is some days.
I'm trying to get better.
He knows. You're perfect. But yeah, I just wanted to expand that, like in some days it's like I just would like cry and be like, but I want to like do better and take and further. And then, you're talking about that, like what you don't like in your partner, whatever. We did have a therapist and early on in our relationship, and I was like, these things, and she's like, okay, write down what's bothering you. And I wrote them down, and it was like 3 things, and she's like, now write down everything that you love and appreciate. And that was like 3 pages. And so then I was like, I just keep focusing on those things that are bothering me instead of growing the other stuff and choking out those areas. So it's just been like an ongoing, like every day, like challenging me. But nobody else like challenged me. Like everybody else, I would get bored because there just was no mental challenge or spiritual challenge or anything else, or anybody that could actually be strong enough to be a leader for me, because I'd already accomplished a lot, and I'd already, I'm the oldest child. I've owned a business basically since I was 7. Of one type or another, I'd achieved all the success and all this other stuff, and I hadn't been successful in relationships yet. So just finding somebody that was so much, above me in that like knowledge just helped me to want to climb, even though like some days are really hard. But anything hard worth it is worth the work.
Well, so what did he do specifically that allowed you to feel safe in that process? Because that process is so uncomfortable. It's like getting naked emotionally with someone that you really love, but different.
Well, much to his frustration, it was just repetition, like just being consistent in the same things, like, saying, he's like, I've said this 7,000 times. I'm like, I still don't understand, but I want to, so just being consistent and being repetitious in that. And then even when, patience wore thin, there was still like, you knew that you could just feel that there was still love there. And I don't know. Yeah. What else would you say, babe?
I don't know. I like her answer. That's obviously her experience. But I work really hard to my religious and personal beliefs is I have a different view on right and wrong anyway. So I try to drill in her, you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing wrong. You're great. You're amazing. I'm not judging you. These are just concepts that you're going to have to grasp if we're going to build the life that we both say we want. And these are the principles that I live by. You have to understand those principles. So I feel like I drilled into her, there's nothing wrong here. She's committed to what we call kanai, or some people, the Japanese call it kaizen, which is incremental, continuous improvement. And I was like, you got that down? Don't worry about it. You'll figure it out. And I tried to explain to her that I'm here if it takes you a long time or 2 minutes. I'd rather be efficient, but I'm here because I know you're making the effort and I know you want to learn and you want to. And she is I'm highly intelligent, but she's wise. She's wiser than shit. Like her simple but foundational and fundamental wisdom, I think eclipses my intelligence, like double. So I tried to give her that kind of reference as well. Just make her say, let her it differently. To really get her to know that it's safe, that you have all the time in the world to figure this out, and that you're equal. We consider ourselves equal. Like I love your wisdom and she loves my intelligence and my perspective. And together, I think that's what makes us a good couple.
Right. So you're moving at your own pace, but you are on the same path and you will arrive at the same destination.
I'm glad you said that. One of the major principles that we believe in for each other in every aspect of life is you go at the slowest person's pace.
Yeah.
There's things I'm not ready for, or I don't feel like going at that pace. And she would rather be, full speed ahead, and she's patient with me. And there's things that I'd be like, I wanted to do that last year, but she's not ready. And, sometimes I patiently or impatiently wait until, she's comfortable. So that's very important to us.
Yeah. Well, we always talk about that in athletics, that you're only as good as your lowest denominator on the team. And so you might as well build up that player instead of, a lot of times people won't pass to that player because they're not as good. But the only way they're going to get better is if you continually pass to the player,
Right?
Which it sounds like he did. He just kept passing to you, and you just kept playing the game in a good way, like the good game. You were like, I want to be on this field and I want to be part of the team.
Yeah. blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, and sometimes it is. I mean, we don't
Yeah.
choose partners because it's going to be easy. I don't think anybody chooses a real life partner because it's supposed to be simple and easy, because the whole job of a life partner is to challenge you and to show you where you're unhealed. So it's by design that there's a challenge built into a high quality relationship, because growth is going to be something that, regardless of whether you think that that's your intention or not, it is going to happen no matter what when you meet the right partner.
So what are some things that are on your list for you?
For me, that's such a tough question. I rarely turn it around.
That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Because I was like I spoke on when I spoke on the phone too, is like, a lot of people in your profession or matchmaker people or, are single because they have these standards. And so I'm curious on what goes on when you evaluate a man for yourself.
So I'm at a point where what I'm seeking is more of a partner. And the way I visualize that is like a 3-legged race. So somebody that will be shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, knee to knee, foot to foot with me, instead of somebody that I'm quote unquote coaching, because I see that there's areas that I can help them in that way, or they see areas that they want to like fix or change me. I want a partner, like probably more of what you guys have going on, because I've experienced different things in the past. I mean, I married a widower that was grieving, and he had 2 grieving daughters. And I was like, yay, this is the life coaching lottery. I know that I can be of help and be of service, and I can give and I can do all these things. And then I've had experiences where I felt like I'm this very small person and I'm dating someone that's just so much bigger than life. And I don't feel like we're partners. I feel like we're just worlds away. And so I'm wanting to bridge that gap. And so that's one of the things that I'm putting on my emotional experience checkbox list, is I want to feel like we're partners. You know, when you were a little kid and you'd have that friend that you'd go wreak havoc with around town, that friend where you just felt equal to, and you both got in trouble for things. I want that person in my life that's not judging me and someone that I'm not judging. So I work a lot on feeling very equal to when I meet people. And if I go on a date with a man and I'm sitting across the table and all of these life coaching things pop into my head, I know it's not a match. Because when I'm with a partner, I won't be thinking those things. They can have 1,001 red flags and I will not see a single one of them. And I'm happy to not see a single one of them. I don't need to see any of them. That's how love works. We talk about red flags all the time. But
So do you believe either, because some people would ascribe to, you just keep living your calling out and then that person will just come across your path? Or do you think it's more like, because what I'm picturing is like, okay, if you want someone that is at your level and on your wavelength, that you would put yourself in different places where those people might be, like a life coaches convention, or you know what I mean, somewhere where you're going to meet men that are of a higher caliber? Or do you think you'll just be sitting in a bar one day or a coffee shop and then he'll just come in and you'll have this spark this just organic conversation? Like, which way do you kind of lean?
I think that you will resonate towards that person that is meant to meet you at that time and place. And it will always be this crazy story of you'll never believe how, when, where we met. I don't believe it's something you have to work at. I don't believe it's something that's contrived. I think that it's something that you have to plan for that spontaneous meeting. And I'll give you a quick example of that. Recently, I was thinking how I wanted to travel and how I wanted to meet someone and go different places. And then I was like, okay, so my son will be the house manager, but I have all these things that I don't want like stolen if he has a party. So I was like, well, maybe I just need to box up all my stuff and put it in a storage unit so I'm prepared to meet the man. So that's such a weird, odd way of preparing for it. But basically, if I wanted to hop on a plane tomorrow and head to Dubai or Costa Rica or Hawaii, I could, because I've taken care of the things that are grounding me in the life that I really don't want to have anymore. It just hit me one day. I was like, oh my gosh, why don't you just get rid of all that stuff so the house can be fluid? If my son wants to have roommates, he can have roommates. Great. And I'm free to go at any time. So at this point, sometimes I feel like a roommate in my own home because I'm packed and ready to go on my trip.
Yeah. And then it like shows up. It's like some gardener or something.
And then, yeah, it's the handyman.
Yeah, that would be so funny. Well, something along those lines too is I told him, I was like, before when I was single, I would always just sleep on my side of the bed because I was always leaving room for him.
Yeah.
So then it was before you moved in though, but I switched sides of the bed because then when he would stay over, I would make sure, because for a long time I was on that side because it's near the door and I was here by myself. And then he's like, well, I really don't feel like you don't have room for me. And I was like, what are you talking about? I have a huge bed. And he's like, well, that's my side of the bed. And I was like, oh. So one day he came over and then that side was like his now. So, but people are like, I sleep starfish style or whatever. But if you're just not leaving room, like where do you have room for this person? You know, you have to create space for that.
Even the end table. So I hired this feng shui, like romantic expert. It was really fun. She was a referral from someone.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And she was out of Portland. It was all remote. And she goes, all right, let's check your end tables, like on the sides of the bed. And she goes, open the drawer. And I had both sides packed. And she goes, no, your lever's not going to come in and have a packed table. Like you need to clear all of that. And I go, yeah, but then it's wasted space. She said, no, it's not. He's moving in. So I went through and I had pictures everywhere of my kids in my room. She goes, absolutely not. Those have got to go. Get the photographs of the kids out of the bedroom. Like, oh, it was just things I hadn't thought of. Yeah, there were things that I hadn't thought of like that. And
yeah, that's why I don't like family photos in the bedroom. Because when he first moved in, he wanted pictures of his like family all over the wall. I compromised with that picture of his mom because she's looking up and away from the bed. So I'm like, that one's okay because she's not looking at us.
Well, I mean, once you're in the room and you have your partner, I think you're free to do whatever you want. But as you're attracting the partner, I think you might be a little more mindful about how packed you have it, full of your own stuff or clutter, what's under the bed and all of that.
Can you say that again for the people in the back or the woman right in front of you?
I think that once you have a relationship, you can design it however you want because you've already attracted it. You're already in, and now you're decorating the space in any way that you both negotiate. It's all your stuff at that point. Like it together, it's your stuff. So
I'm like, that one's enough. Everything can be out there.
I'm sure I'll get to have those fun games too when I attract that person into my bedroom. I'm just not at that space.
Yeah, I was like, there's space in the closet. I really only made room in the bedroom and the closet, not the rest of the house. So I could have had this coaching sooner. Do
you feel like you live in the bedroom?
Oh my goodness.
And look at the time.
I love that.
It seems like we're going to have to do a part 2.
We will find out what happens in the bedroom.
No more waiting, no more chains, breaking rules, rewriting names. This is our time, this is our fire. Hear the call, we're rising higher. On your truth, live out loud. No more fear, stand up.
Thank you so much for listening today. We hope this podcast has been an encouragement to you. You can find us on our website, thesirenoffreedom.com, and also on social media and Patreon under the Siren of Freedom podcast. Your support is what helps us continue to sound the alarm of freedom.